Have you ever wondered why DMT is sometimes referred to as spice? I mean, I've not, because as well as being a dashingly enlightened maverick psychonaut, I'm also a massive sci-fi nerd, and so of course I know the answer. And it's because of this book, which for many is considered to be the holy Bible of science fiction, Dune. Dune and its many sequels is a series by author Frank Herbert, first published back in 1965, and it tells the tale of religious prophecies, feuding interplanetary conflicts, and characters who unlock latent superhuman abilities through the use of a psychoactive substance called spice. All this occurs against a backdrop of clashing ideologies, guerrilla warfare, and political schemings on a barren, desert planet populated by giant sandworms which attack and consume anyone stupid enough to set foot on it. Trust me, this book is awesome. Not only is it one of the best stories ever told, there is an abundance of transcendent psychedelic concepts laid out in here, which any psychonaut will be able to get their teeth into, and which have stayed with me since I first read it when I was a teenager. So now, 25 years after having first read it and having had some of these mind-blowing experiences as described in the book, then yeah, it makes even more sense now than it did back then, and I can really relate to what the author was describing. And quite possibly smoking. Also, we're just a couple of months away from a big screen retelling of this classic story, and I just thought, fuck it. This is clearly a sign that the universe wants me to talk about Dune from the perspective of a psychonaut, and how the fictional spice of Dune compares to the spice DMT we all know and love. So, let's do this. If anyone's wondering why my voice is completely fucked and about 3 octaves lower, it's because I spent last night in a karaoke bar just singing all night, singing extremely badly and just completely ruining my voice. So that's why my voice sounds a little bit different today.
There's something happening to me. There's something awakening in my mind. I can't control it.
The footage I'm showing here is the trailer from the upcoming movie. But what I'm talking about here is not specific to that movie, but rather the Dune franchise as a whole. Still, after watching this trailer, I am so fucking excited for this movie. I cannot wait. But anyway, forget Hollywood. Let's talk about mind-bending substances. Within the Dune universe, there is a psychoactive substance called melange, but which is more commonly known as spice. This substance is incredibly valuable because not only does it get you completely off your tits, but it can also unlock various other superhuman abilities, such as a non-linear perception of time, advanced understanding of higher dimensional mathematics, and the ability to access the memories of your genetic ancestors. Sounds familiar? Oh yeah, and for some gifted individuals, then getting extremely high gains them the ability to predict the future, which is something of a curse and a blessing because knowing exactly what will happen at every single moment means that existence pretty much starts to suck. I guess that links back quite nicely into my previous video on interpreting meaning from psychedelic experiences rather than looking for the literal truth. If there is one point that the Dune series drives home, it's that knowing the future is not a good thing. Always look for the meaning, folks. Anyway, because of these amazing properties, spice is the most sought after substance in the entire Dune universe. A box of this stuff will basically buy you an entire planet. It's that valuable. So as a result, wars are fought and lost over who controls the spice. And this is the main conflict within the story. Here's how the book describes spice. The spice melange is a drug able to prolong life, bestow heightened vitality and awareness, and unlock prescience in some humans. The spice possesses intense psychotropic effects and is used as a powerful entheogen to initiate clairvoyance and precognitive trances, access genetic memory, and heighten other abilities. I wonder if you can get it on the dark web. Later on in the book, the central character Paul Atreides takes a huge breakthrough dose of purified spice, and this allows him to telepathically see all places across the entire universe at the same time while simultaneously perceiving all possible parallel timelines and outcomes. I mean, yeah, this sounds like one of my ayahuasca trips. There's another group of characters within the book known as the Guild, and they use spice to be able to navigate through hyperspace, allowing instant travel from one side of the universe to the other. And they do this by being able to access higher dimension mathematics and manipulating the fundamental code of the universe to fold space in on itself, thus instantly moving objects from A to B. So we've got accessing the memories of our ancestors, we've got being able to perceive parallel timelines, and a greater understanding of the cosmos. There is so much in this book that I can relate to after having taken DMT, but I'll just make a few points. And the first is that it's fairly obvious to me from reading this that the author, Frank Herbert, knew what the fuck he was talking about when it comes to describing a psychedelic altered state. I mean, his friend, famous mycologist and psychonaut Paul Stamets, reported a conversation that he had with Frank Herbert, where they swapped some notes on growing magic mushrooms, and that Frank Herbert had confirmed to him that Dune had been inspired by his own use of psychedelics. What I find more interesting though, is that what Frank Herbert achieved here is basically the elusive philosopher's stone of psychedelics, to be able to bring back an object of pure imagination from the psychedelic realm and convert it into something tangible that has an effect on this physical plane. That's what Dune is. It's an idea that has crossed over from that place in the form of a story, has expanded and transformed into something bigger, into its own narrative, its own universe, and even now, 55 years later, continues to echo through time, being retold and inspiring new minds to continue this dream. That is one hell of an accomplishment. Another thing I wanted to address is the in-universe explanation of how this drug is made. Where does spice come from in the Dune universe? Well, Dune has many iconic characters, most of them human, but there is another character which lurks beneath the surface of Dune: the sandworms. Sandworms are huge, angry, destructive gods of the desert which are attracted to anything that disturbs the surface sand, and if they find something there, they erupt up from the depths and swallow things whole. I mean, did I mention these things are huge? And I mean like huge! The book describes the really big ones as being several kilometers long with a mouth that can chomp through pretty much everything. You get a good sense of the scale of these things from this footage in the trailer. Okay, so it's got big worm creatures. What has that got to do with how you make psychoactive drugs? Let's check the book's description for what spice is. It's the stage of fungisoid wild growth achieved when water is flooded into the excretions of the Arrakis sandworm. So yeah, I mean, there's no nice way of saying this. It's mouldy worm shit. I remember reading this as a kid and just thinking that maybe I just misunderstood it, because there's no way any rational person is going to start chomping down on another creature's fecal matter. I mean, right? Of course, these days I'm a little bit more worldly, and I have myself partaken of chemicals acquired by, shall we say, similarly exotic means. I mean, we as humans squeeze 5-MeO DMT out of glands on the back of toads and then smoke it. So in comparison to that, yeah, I mean, eating worm shit is pretty mundane, to be honest. Still, writing this out in preparation for making this video did make me think, just who the fuck figures this stuff out? I mean, is there some guy out there whose sole mission in life is to slowly make their way through the entire animal kingdom's catalogue of bodily fluids and excretions and see if there's some kind of useful application for them? I mean, what does that person's life look like? What kind of job is that? How many dead ends of monkey spunk or leopard's fanny batter do you have to go through before you hit the jackpot or something like Buffo Alvarius? So yeah, in comparison, psychedelic worm shit, it really doesn't seem like that much of a stretch anymore. So guys, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate it's a little bit different from my usual stuff, but I am such a fan of this book, and when I saw the trailer for the new movie, I basically just pissed my pants with excitement. I cannot wait for this. It comes out on November the 18th, I believe, and this is pretty much going to be my first trip to the cinema this year, which seems kind of weird because of all this pandemic stuff. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more of this kind of stuff, like me looking at books or movies through a psychonaut lens. I've really enjoyed doing it, and thinking about this got me sort of thinking about other stories which I think could be worth dissecting in this way. Just a few thank yous before I sign off. These guys who are listed here are the ones who've supported me on Patreon and for which I am eternally grateful. I started putting some extra content, some kind of like behind the scenes stuff over there on Patreon. So if you want to support the channel and see some additional content, then head over there and consider becoming a patron of this channel. I'm also going to be starting a Discord server soon as a new way of kind of interacting with you guys, so stay tuned for some details on that. I've got some great videos coming up, so press subscribe to stay up to date with new content as I release it. And other than that, yeah, I guess I will see all you beautiful psychonaut people next time right here on Adeptus Psychonautica. So, fingers crossed that this Dune movie is going to be awesome.